how's it going? I hope you're all doing really well. So this week's book is going to be all about forgiveness. So like always, I'm just going to share some of the things that I've learned from this book. Going into this book, I was under the impression that it was going to be a whole story about how to forgive, how to let go, and yeah, la-di-da-di-da-di-da. And that's not what I learned. I got my little handy dandy notes and let's get into it. You know how people have, we live in a society where people have this tendency, they always say, don't hold grudges. They always say that don't hold grudges. And I think that, in my opinion, is when people say that, it takes away from the things that another person has done to us and it minimizes it. Whereas this book really talks about how it's important to always stay true to who you are, especially when it comes to forgiveness, because the society that we live in, people have this tendency of trying to push forgiveness onto other people. And, they'll say, oh, it's been 3 years. How is it that you have not forgiven that person? You being so angry. I mean, things like, oh, how could you possibly, 3 years, how is it that you have not forgotten? And the part that I really liked is that it's not a book that tells you to rush the process. And the author does an amazing job at not judging yourself for where you're at right now. And, like I said, people will say it's been 3 years, you need to let it go, you need to forgive, don't hold grudges. Whereas this book really talks about the importance of being where you're at and how it's okay to be in a position where you're struggling and you're working towards forgiving somebody regardless of what society has taught us and some of the inner dialogue that we have in our minds, and also the conversations that we have with the people that we care about. Another thing, this one's a really, really, really big point. Write it down if you have to. But when she was talking about making the distinction between this is my stuff to carry and this is not my stuff to carry, and learning to understand that you cannot live a life and be true to who you are if you're living in a place of when you're carrying other people's stuff. So it's really important to, whenever a situation happens where that requires forgiving, to really sit yourself down and say, okay, you know what? I'm going to own my part, because both of us really had a part to play. In a situation or anything that's happening, it's so important for people to realize that, like I said, for people to make the distinction between, okay, this is my stuff, I'm going to own my part, instead of owning everything, and how it's really important to cultivate healthy, happy relationships. Thank you so much for watching. And always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and as always, to be continued.